is also just to talk a little bit about. You're not wrong. I went online and I didn't load session 7 content and quizzes and things. I do apologize. So I will fix that. So I will make sure that that is up to date. 8, 7, 8, 9, and 10, so that there's all the content and the recordings from last year, and if there's any additional that I can think of, I will definitely add on. All right. Let me just have a look. I just want to open up my presentation here to make sure that I've got the right presentation. So today's session is all about the second assessment, and also to answer a couple of questions. I do know there was 2 groups that sent me some questions, and I also just needed to review the assessment again, just to remind myself of what the requirements are and the format that I suggested to the groups last year. So let me just have a look and see if I have that of last year, if I've got an actual breakdown of it. Let me just have a look. All right, you guys there?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Sorry, I lost you there for a moment. So let's go open up. Let me just see whether I've got it opened. Let me open up the assessment. It's not that one. There we go. If everybody can just give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen, if you can see the assessment in front of you, or at least the module outline. And just see if I can make it a bit bigger. Okay, there we go. All right, assessment 2. Wait. Just see if my presentation finished.
Is it just me or still breaking up quite badly?
My side as well.
Theo, you're breaking up?
Is it? Yes. Is it like as in spotty, as it like that, or is it like I disappear forward?
I hear every 4th word.
Like, yeah.
Tracy, and you? Please don't tell me because we had this 2 weeks ago and
No,
it wasn't fun.
It's the same on my side, Theo. It's the same on my side. The latency is quite bad.
Yeah.
Look at now, you sound better.
Okay. I wonder if it wasn't just me. Let me just close everything I have open so that there's no other live things like internet or anything else that's open here. And just close WhatsApp. Let me just close Outlook. Let me just close everything else. Let me just close that. Let me just close. Good. Okay, there we go. So you guys can see the assessment 2, correct? Just give me a
Yes,
thumbs up.
Theo.
Okay, excellent. So there's a whole lot of administration stuff that sort of is a part of it. I'm not going to go through that because I think that is fairly self-explanatory, and each one, and I think most of the groups have sort of gotten that underhand, and that is about 10%
Theo.
of the mark. Yeah.
Hi. I see assessment 1.
Okay, assessment 2.
Yeah, me
Can you see
too.
this? Okay, then we go. I'll close that now. Let me open it up again.
No, I actually still see assessment 1.
There we go. How's
And
that?
when you're trying to make it, you have the size, it's like stuck on that. I don't know, is that my side?
How's that now? Case study, group analysis, assessment 2. How's that now?
I'm just going to try switching my network to my phone, and maybe that would just change it.
Yeah. Tracy and Danva, what can you see? You can see assessment 2? Okay. Okay, great.
Now I see
Yes,
assessment.
yes, Theo. Yeah, it's open now.
Okay. Okay. So the group formation part of it, that I'm not going to go through much of that. I think that is under. Any questions around that? Were you unsure about the group chart and the group process log that you have to complete and the peer evaluation forms? Was there anything in there that you need clarity on? Just give me some indication whether, yeah, Denver?
And yeah, I think our group, we aligned on our group charter and we got it signed off. But it was pretty straightforward, yeah.
Okay, great. Yuvna and your group, this is pretty much, yeah?
No, with that, we seem to be good. I'm just looking at our group to see what our last questions were. No, for that, we seem to be okay. I just wanted to check before you go further. Each person would submit their own Word document, but the information would be the same. We would each submit our own group charter, group process log, peer evaluation forms, and things like that on our own portal, correct?
Okay, so let's go into the submission requirements because it's in here. Okay, so assessment submission.
I understood that correctly.
Yeah, so
And I don't
the
confuse
assessment
anybody in
submission.
my group.
Yeah, so there's one submission, which is the group assignment is submitted by one student in the group. And then additionally, each student must submit a group charter signed by all group members, and they must complete a group process log and well as individual peer evaluation form. So those must be individually submitted. And what makes it interesting is that the group charter must be signed by all the group members. So you can't just do it by yourself and just submit it. So it has to be signed by everybody. Okay, makes sense?
So does that mean, like, how do I put that? Would it be like I wouldn't say a printout, but like, I don't know how to explain my question.
Group chart you're talking about?
Yes, like, okay, I will try and figure out my question, and then if I don't get how to put it together now, I will send you an email.
Okay. You've looked at the group
You've
chart.
done
Yes. So what I mean is, like, because each one has to sign it. Oh God, I don't know how to explain it.
Maybe I can. What we've what we've done is
you can do electronic signatures is also fine.
Yes, we've done a PDF, and then we just pass it on to each member to sign it actually on PDF.
Okay.
And then the final one, then
yeah,
we're gonna upload then each one individually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you can
That's
just
basically
do a PDF document.
what
Yeah,
is in my head. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Great. And then a completed group process log and an individual submission peer evaluation. Okay, good. So that is fine. So let me get into the meat of it, which is the case study selection, the case studies, and so forth, because this is where things get interesting and you get a bit of things get sort of a bit scary as well as a bit confusing. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to share a presentation that I almost said that I put together. I didn't put together. Jem and I put it together for me. All right, you guys can see this? Assessment 2?
Yes.
Assessment blueprint? Okay, great. So, let me just get straight to it. So there's a group charter, the process log, the peer evaluation. Those are all submissions that has to be done sort of individually. And then you have to select some study. So this is almost something that you have to do. So there's sort of case perspective mapping. Select 3 cases and analyze them across the 5 perspectives. So there's 5 perspectives. And the way you're going to submit them is that you are going to have to submit them by perspective. So the perspective, which is the then just get a pin here, which is stands out. There we go. So these are the perspectives. So the perspectives are going to be your subtitles after you've done the selection. And you are going to then have to select. So underneath each perspective, you'll have a section where you'll talk about a specific case study that is related to that specific perspective. So you'll have leadership and strategic management, and you'll say, in the case of blah, 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 this is the bit. And then you'll have another subtitle called corporate performance and control. And then you'll say, in the case of, and you'll bring up a specific case study that best explains best explains almost the concept or the perspective. Or you have, think of the case study as a reflection, or the best way of reflecting this particular area, the best way of reflecting leadership and strategic management. The case study A, sort of case study 1 or 2, is a best example of how leadership and strategic management is reflected. Does that make sense? Is my reception still okay? Can you guys still hear me, or am I disappearing in between? Just give me a thumbs up.
It's okay from my side.
Okay, great. So think of it in that way. So let me go back to the PDF again. Sorry that I'm skipping in between like this, but it's important for, actually, let me just share my screen, because then I can flip in between. So now you've got my screen. There we go. You can see the case study.
Yes, we can.
So let's read through it, and I want to read. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Tracy. And I almost want to read through it with you, like you've read through it. So there's the case section. In your groups, analyze, critically evaluate, and discuss the corporate citizen posture of real-life business situations from the following perspectives. So it says there's a 5 perspective: leadership, corporate performance and effective control, management ethics, corporate social responsibility, stakeholder impact, and engagement. For each perspective, you must apply at least 2 theoretical frameworks or models. This is important. That's a criteria. From the content, at least 2 specific theoretical frameworks or models. Analyze how the case demonstrates adherence to or violation of the King IV principle. so either compliance or non-compliance, evaluate how the case against the US Global Compact principles, where applicable, and where it is not applicable, you be explicit about it. You say, as you're writing this particular case, there's no evidence of its adherence or its applicability or the UN Global Compact principles or any of the principles in the UN Global Compact is applicable to this case. And by saying that there's no evidence, you're saying that there's no evidence that we found. So you make it clear there might be evidence. You just say that there's no evidence that we found that any of the UN Global or UNGC principles are applicable to this particular case. Identify key stakeholders affected and analyze the quality of stakeholder engagement. Propose governance improvement. So this is where you need to, so the proposing part is the bit where you have to give some sort of recommendation that could have prevented the failure. Select 3 of the following case studies for analysis, ensuring you cover all 5 perspectives across your selected cases. So now that's important. So let me stay there. So let me ask you, what do you understand by that statement? Denver?
Yes, if you select, depending on that mapping that you've done, let's say if you've, let's take leadership and strategic management, and you've selected Steinhoff, the first bullet there, then you have to analyze Steinhoff based on their leadership and strategic, or based on that perspective. And not, for example, mix the Steinhoff with, unless you've selected it, mix it now with one of the other perspectives. You have to focus on one perspective that you've selected for the particular case study. Or if you selected more than one perspective, then those 2 perspectives you address per case study. That's how I understand it.
Okay, Yuvna?
Okay, so this is actually a question we had as a group kind of thing. Do you mind if I just read it from our level page?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
absolutely.
We decided to split the case studies because this was what our understanding was, right? So we're 3 members in the group. Oh, well, that is one more thing that I have to ask you maybe at the end, right? So we decided to split the case studies between the 3 members and then split the subsections between the 3 members. However, when we looked at it like further and like analyzed it together, it seemed like the sections would not include all the cases, right? But for the previous explanation, obviously that is okay. It doesn't, it's okay. Basically, you're only filling in for what is aligning with said case study. But it didn't seem, in terms of a flow, correct.
Okay. All right.
So if we were not understanding it, or if I'm not understanding it, like how you've explained it, see, like what you're showing us now, I understood that to be like if I chose the VW and diesel thing, it would only go for, if we use that as case study 1, it would only fall maybe under corporate or stakeholder or management. It would only fall under those categories.
Okay. All right. So
I feel
there's
like I have been having an issue. Oh gosh, I feel like crying. Okay.
No, don't. No, you absolutely explained it perfectly. I understand what you're saying. So Yuvna, so let me just have so this is, I take responsibility for this. I should have actually made this particular area a bit clearer a few weeks back, because I think it might have saved a bit of work for some of the groups. So for that, I take responsibility. So I do apologize for not making sure that you understand this, especially this particular thing clearer. So there's 5 perspectives, and you have to choose 3 case studies. So there is 5 perspectives and 3 case studies, of which it means that if you choose 1 perspective per case study, you will have to use 2 case studies twice. Does that make sense? So 1 case study, so there's case study 2 is only applicable to 1.
Yes.
And then there's another case study that's only applicable to 1.
Yes.
And then there's another case study that's only applicable to 1. And then there's another case study that's applicable to, so there's a case study that's applicable to 2. So because there's 5 perspectives, but you can only use 3 case studies. So it means that 2 of the case studies you'll have to use
2 principles.
twice.
Yes, we'll have 2 principles,
Yes.
and 1 would only have 1.
That is correct.
Okay.
So the subtitles, the way that your submission is structured would be perspective 1, perspective 2, perspective 3, and it will be that will be 1 case study, and there'll be another case study over here, and there'll be another case study over here, and then there'll be perspective 4, and there'll be maybe 1 of these again. So it will be, if that's case study 1, case study 2, case study 3, and then you'll use for perspective 4, you maybe use case study 3 again, and then for perspective 5, you maybe choose case study 2 is most probably the best one that best sort of demonstrates it. How's that?
It's making more sense now. Thanks, Theo.
Okay. Denver, same on your side, because that's basically what you also explained as well.
Yes.
Okay. So you might have to just sort of combine some of the stuff. So you might have to say to you guys, listen, I'm taking 2 perspectives, and I'm doing case study 1 and 3, and another person only using case study is the best for ethics, and then for corporate social responsibility, say I'm also using case study 3 because that one is quite good, because I mean the Dieselgate one is pretty good, so that one is good. And then stakeholder impact, you say I'll use case study 1 as well for stakeholder impact, because the Steinhoff one is like the best example of how shareholders got the rug pulled out from under them. So that is just the very sort of least bit of engagement.
Okay. Do you mind if I say it? Okay. I have been struggling this past 2 months with my anxiety and my focus and things like that. So do you mind if I say it out to you, and then you just tell me if I'm understanding it correctly?
Absolutely. No problem. Go for it.
Okay. So, okay, I'm also going to use like the subsections just to make sure that I'm understanding the whole picture.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So, for
Yeah.
example, I take corporate performance and effective control. My is the VW one, right? And then I would just talk about that. So under there, like in the rest of our assignment, it would go the triple context, systems theory, 6 capitals and things like that. I would only focus that on the VW, and I don't have to worry that I may be missing, what was the other one? Like leadership and strategic, because somebody else is doing that and they're doing a different case study, and that's okay. But it would just have to flow in our whole assessment. Like it would just have to fall after that, correct? I'm
Yeah.
understanding that
And
correctly.
absolutely. Don't forget King and
Oh, yes,
UNGC,
yes.
hey?
Yes, yes, yes. It
Yeah.
would
So
just fall
King and
under that.
UNGC is always in all of them. There's always King and there's always UNGC. And if a UNG doesn't apply, then you say it explicitly. For this case study, there's no evidence that there's any principles of the United Nations Global Compact is you know,
There or like, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's exactly it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. No problem. Denver.
Well, while we're on this, we've got a question around the climate change aspect. If you look at the instruction, it talks about that we must address climate change for each of the perspectives. But if you look at the rubric, it only you only get marks for climate change under the corporate social responsibility perspective. So we just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Because
Maybe...
some of the climate change may not even be applicable to some of the other perspectives.
Let's just see if I got it. I got Yuvna's question. Yeah. There's all the modules for you. You talk about the UNGC Global Compact in terms of climate. Is the question you asked? This instructions asked for climate change to be discussed with each perspective, but the rubric only marks it under CSR. Please guide us. The grading criteria that dictates your marks is specifically it's 5 marks for climate perspective 4. So it's only under perspective 4 corporate social responsibility. Does that make sense, Denver?
Ooh, you just disappeared there for a while, but
yeah.
I think what you've explained is that it's only applicable for perspective 4 and not for the others.
And not for the others, yeah.
Okay. All right. No,
because
thanks.
if you look at under perspective 4, you'll see it's there. That's for the 5 marks under there.
Yes. Okay. No, understood. Thanks.
No problem. You've got a question?
I'm so sorry about this.
No, don't apologize. Please don't ever apologize.
Okay, again with our group, and I'm just looking at it now, case study backgrounds, right? We have 500 words on that specific section. One group member has that under their wing. Would that just fall under the case study that they are doing in particular, or each case study has to have a bit of a background, and that 500 words needs to be split into 3 case studies?
When you introduce the case study under the perspective, so you say you introduce a perspective, in a few words, you're going to need to introduce the case study.
That we've got there. Okay.
Yeah, you will need to introduce the case study, and very briefly, it doesn't need to go into a long it doesn't have to be a lot of words, but I mean, under each perspective, you'll introduce a perspective, and then you'll introduce the case study, and you'll say, this is, Volkswagen, during the period between 2019 and I think it was before that, 2017 or something, they tripled their diesel things that they were sending to the FDA in America, and they were essentially lying about the emissions. They just flat out lied for a period of time, and then they were found out. So you'll just give 2 or 3 sentences, sort of giving background to the case study, and then you'll go into using the different models and the different theories to better talk about what they did. And as you're busy talking about what they did, you know, it will give you a bit of, that will also give you some more background on it as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. Who else? Somebody else has just joined us.
No, that was me. I was on my phone, so I just joined on the computer because I wasn't able to see properly on the phone. It's Tracy.
Okay. Hi there, Tracy. Again. So let me jump on to some of the. So we decide. Okay, this hopefully answers your question. The structure, 4,000 words. Okay, so let me talk about the word count. The word count is excluding the reference list. It excludes any sort of pictures. It excludes any tables. Insert the tables as images. It excludes all of those type of things. Yeah, so just be aware of that. There is a 10% sort of leeway of 4,400 words, 10%, but please don't go over that that word count. It's a lot of it is a lot to read. So just make sure that you stay within the 4,400, which is that 10% over the word count. Okay. So there was where was that now? Okay, so let me just go to the different perspectives. Yeah, Tracy. Yeah, Tracy.
Theo, can you just go back to the previous slide, please? We just had a question on that. Danville will just concur with me here.
This one.
No, the previous one where you gave the outline. Yes, okay. So the last section where it shows, not this one, the next one, where it shows reflection.
Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah.
Reflection on learning. Okay, so it's 200 words. So what we'd like to know is reflection on the learning. Is this basically equal to a conclusion, or is it where each student gives their reflection on what they've learned from this assessment, and we kind of put it together? Just maybe guide us on the structure of what the reflection should look like, not without giving too much away.
That's a good question. And it comes after the recommendation. So recommendation is almost the final part of the formal report. And the reflections is your own personal reflections. So you, as a group, you almost need to sit down and ask yourselves sort of in that final thing before you submit it. What have we learned? What did we learn about? Because remember, this course is also about ethics, and right at the beginning, I started off our first couple of sessions, we really dug into ethics and also talking about morality and personal morality and personal ethics and so forth. And it's a good opportunity just to sit and reflect on, we've now looked at these case studies and we found companies have really done some nasty things, illegal stuff. And also remember that big question that we had in that one session. We talked about legality versus ethical behavior versus morality, where at times there's many things, many of these companies, many of these scandals, many of these case studies, many of them nobody went to jail. No one went to jail. And then you have to ask yourself, but if the stuff that they did was so bad, surely somebody should have gone to jail. Surely. But no one has. Steinhoff, no one has. There was the suicide of the CEO, but there was some other things as well. But no one has gone to jail. Volkswagen paid a massive fine in a couple of 100 million. But the terms of the fine is that they never admitted guilt. They just said there was oversight. in terms of their reporting or something to that effect. And that is really that reflection. I don't want to guide you into a certain framework of thinking, but just to reflect on legal versus ethical versus morality after looking at these case studies. And then I suppose, how does one working in an organization? I mean, Tracy, you're working in an organization where the potential for wrongdoing is immense, because you're working with so much, funds, so much money, where, decisions can be pushed in a certain way. So that's really what I'm looking for. It's sort of a good, honest reflection on your own, sort of where you are. And for those that are not in a work situation, for some of you that may be younger students that are still going into a more formal work situation one day, to think about, where you're going to work and the conditions under which what will be acceptable. Does that answer that question for you, Tracy?
Yeah, it kind of gives us an idea, because I was wondering whether it should be we have learned, or should we just make it a general sort of reflection on what we've learned? Go ahead.
Yeah, as a group, because I mean, 200 words isn't sufficient for each one of you to go onto a long sort of essay about ethical behavior and morality.
Yes.
But it's a good opportunity to sit and chat for a couple of minutes, half an hour, and chat through, and then sort of try to capture that into 200 words and say that we as a group, these are some of the key learnings, which could be one or two things that you mentioned, and could be one or two things that somebody else mentioned, and and it sort of adds together into a group view.
Okay, then we just put all that together, everybody's thoughts. Okay. No, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. So, where was I? Yeah. So some of the modules for leadership, you need to look at two of them. So for leadership, responsible leadership approach, integrated thinking, strategic management interface. For corporate performance, you can look at the triple context and the 6 capitals, systems theory, King 4, ethics, Schoeman's model, Van Vuren's framework, ethical decision-making model. For CSR, you can look at Carroll's pyramid, Baden's critique of that pyramid, and then shared value, Ashley's model. And then for stakeholder impact, stakeholder engagement process, engagement process, and also the matrix as well is in there, and then the social capital concept as well, just to give you a bit of a sort of a summary of some of the key modules that you can use. All right. And throughout of it, please make sure that you look at King 4 and also UNGC. So King 4 is almost like, if they used King 4, this would not have happened. If they followed this one particular King 4 principle, this might not have happened. And then evidence for compliance to the UNGC Global Compact in terms of those principles as well. So it's about just always just using those two sort of lenses to look at your case studies as well. All right. Okay, what else? References. Now, 15 credible academic sources is a tough ask. It's a very, very tough ask. So I would be more than okay with anything between 5 and 8. And then websites. I mean, if you found information of website times, again, it's about looking at the websites. So if you quote News 24, the Daily Maverick, the Times, that's good, a good source. If you quote the Daily Voice, that's maybe not such a good source. So, or this one. So I'll be satisfied with, especially for some of these case studies, you'll find a lot of information, a lot of reporting by good papers like the Daily Maverick and so forth as well. So you'll be able to use those, but those would count. But if you have 3 or 4 or 5 academic sources, which is the textbooks, there's a lot of readings as well, which you can add to it. Absolutely. But yeah, articles. It's a tough ask, 5 to 8. And then you can supplement it with websites and so forth. But again, it is websites, you know, the Guardian, the New York Times, you know, those type of, you know, well-known, you know, websites and so forth. That is it from my side on this. Discard. I will post this presentation as well with the notes. As well for you. Okay, are there any questions, any final questions on the submission? Does that make things a bit clearer?